For part one of Skies Over the Wash Makerspace, we're going to start with the northern sky and cover some basics for sky watching. First thing is first. It's about 9 p.m. in my virtual sky here, and as you can see, the sun is still up a tiny bit. So we need to go about an hour into the future to 10 p.m. Now, as we get closer to the fall and eventually on into winter, this time will change. Because the sun sets earlier and earlier as we approach those seasons, you can stargaze earlier and earlier at night. Another thing we have to be mindful of is light pollution. As you can see, there are not quite as many stars out as you might think there should be. I can artificially turn off the light pollution in my virtual sky, but for you stargazers out there, you'll need to go out to where there are not a lot of buildings, cars, or street lamps to block your view. It is also better to stargaze when the moon isn't very large and bright in the sky as well, as it can create light pollution of its own. Now that we have our viewing conditions right, we have to then find out where we're facing, or oriented towards. In virtual reality, I can put a big compass on the ground like so. But in the real sky, you won't be able to turn the cardinal points on with a button. To find our default orientation, we need to look for the North Star. Polaris, also known as the North Star, is one of the most famous stars in the sky. See if you can spot it. There we go. That little dot right there is Polaris. Not very bright, is it? You see, Polaris isn't special because of brightness. Instead, it's special because it's constant in its position, no matter what time of night or what time of year you're observing. This is because it's right over the North Pole. Any person living in the northern hemisphere, that's the top half of Earth, will see it as we rotate on our axis, and its position will remain the same. Unless, of course, you travel to a different latitude on Earth. Then its position will change. It will be higher or lower in the sky, depending on how far north or south you're located. Now that we know which star is the North Star, let's talk about how to find it. One very popular way is to look for the larger, brighter Big Dipper. Once you find it, you can trace your gaze over to the Little Dipper. It is in its handle that you will find Polaris at the very end. Now, both the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper are examples of what we call asterisms, rather than constellations. These informal patterns and shapes, while useful, are not part of our official International Astronomical Union map of the sky. However, they are both part of two larger constellations, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, the Big Bear and the Little Bear. Finding things that are harder to see in the sky with the naked eye is exactly why we use constellations in the first place. Now, because we are in Texas, sometimes the Big Dipper is really low in the sky. If we move to the month of November, you can see that it has dipped all the way below the horizon. For times like these, we can use another constellation as an alternative pointer to Polaris. Cassiopeia, an Ethiopian queen of Greek legend, looks much more like a lightning bolt in the sky. The middle part of her constellation juts out and actually points to the Little Dipper and Polaris as well. Using these two groups of stars, we can then turn our bodies into a compass and navigate our way through even more awesome star sights.